Good morning, everyone. Nishant here. So we'll wait for another couple of minutes. I think Karan has mentioned the session started 8:10. So we'll wait for a few more minutes and then we'll kick start. Good morning, everyone. Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
this
sir,
is
you
audible.
are.
Okay, thanks. Any questions from what we discussed yesterday before we get started? Okay. Okay, so we'll start then. Adi, let's just start with some important basic concepts. So what do you mean by capital? Yeah, anybody? What do you mean by capital?
Uh, Capital amount which we have used for the startup of the business for the business start.
Amount invested to start the business. Okay.
Hmm.
Anybody else?
Own funds invested infused into the business by by ourselves.
Own funds invested into the business. Okay. Anybody else? So one is amount invested at the start or to start the business, and second is the own funds invested in the business. Apart from these two,
Sir, money or wealth needed to produce goods or services, be it in business or personal needs.
sorry, money needed to produce
Goods and services, be it related to business.
goods and services, be it related to business or personal.
Yeah, sir.
So what do you mean by this personal? I didn't understand. Personal में कौन से goods and services produce करते हैं हम लोग?
सर अगर पर्सनल पर्सन के हिसाब से अगर उसकी खुद की कैपिटल भी हो सकती है, सर जरूरी नहीं है कि वो सिर्फ बिजनेस रिलेटेड ही हो. मतलब माय पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इज लाइक दिस कि if we are earning income from somewhere else, then we are generating capital.
When we're generating income, it is
Yes, sir.
generating of capital.
Since it is adding value.
Okay, so adding value means capital.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I'm taking a session for you and I'm adding value because I'm explaining some concepts, so I'm adding value. So that does that mean I'm adding to your capital? Is that the way you're looking at it?
Sir, in money terms, in monetary terms.
In monetary terms. So adding value you mean in a monetary term?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? This is not a new concept, correct? Capital is something which everybody should know. So it's important that if I hear other views as well, it's important, guys. And please, I think sorry, Ashwin, just give me a minute. So I think, as I said yesterday, try and make this more interactive rather than a one-way communication sessions. I know you're attending these through an online version as of now, but try and be expressive. Try and put your thoughts across. Be it right or wrong, let that get decided when it gets discussed. Yeah, Yashwant, go ahead.
Money or assets owned by a organization.
Money or an asset
Money and
owned
assets
by the owned by the
owned by.
organization. Okay. Okay. Or
Okay.
What about others?
Sir, wealth that is invested to create value.
Sorry, wealth.
That is invested to create value.
Wealth that is invested to create value. Okay. And what do you mean by wealth?
The wealth means the monetary terms, the money that we have infused into the business.
Wealth means money.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, money that is infused into the business.
So there is no difference between wealth and money.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. So if I go to market and I'm carrying 10 rupees in my pocket, I can say I'm carrying 10 rupees wealth in my pocket. Okay, good.
Sir, but sir, in future terms also we can forecast the value of money, wealth.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to understand,
Yes, sir.
according to you, wealth and money is the same thing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so which means if you're going to market and you're carrying 10 rupees in your pocket, I can say, so you according to you, it is right to say that I'm carrying 10 rupees wealth in my pocket.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Capital is something that company needs to provide goods and services.
Sorry? Capital is what?
Capital is something that a company needs to provide goods and services.
Something company needs to provide goods and services. Okay. To provide goods and services. Okay. Okay. Or what about others? Not yet. Divya, Kritika, Manmeet. Yeah, Deepak.
Capital is basically a financial asset we want to invest to for a business means capital is a financial asset
Financial asset.
that is held to for investment.
That is held for investment. Okay. So is that okay? Have I captured your thought correctly in the last time? It's a financial asset that is held for investment.
Yes,
Capital is a financial asset that is held for investment.
in the
Okay.
form of debt or equity and all.
चलो ठीक है इसमें बाद में आते हैं हाँ जी और जल्दी यार इतना टाइम नहीं लेट्स बी इंटरेक्टिव हाँ और दिव्या
Sir, I've already answered.
ओके कृतिका
Sir,
Manmeet.
capital consists of assets that can enhance one power to perform economically useful work.
consist of
Assets
हाँ उसके बाद
that can enhance one power to perform economically useful work.
that can enhance power
One's power, मतलब individual power to yes
okay.
sir, individual power to perform economically useful work.
To perform economic work. Okay. Consists of an asset that can enhance one's power to perform economic. Okay. हाँ जी Manmeet.
Yes sir, so I've already told.
Okay. ठीक है and so let's look at this, and this is a surprising, right? So it's a very general concept. Still, you can see a lot of different thought processes and aspects that's being captured on this sheet. Okay, so let's look at each of these. And I'm doing this deliberately, and at the end of this exercise, I will talk about the purpose of discussing this concept through this way. So first is amount invested to start the business. I'm not sure who gave this, but so let's and I would expect अगर आप honesty से बताते जाइए मेरा version है because I've not noted the names there. Who gave this first one? Amount invested to start the business.
Nimesh Nagar.
Animesh. So it means if I've started the business, let's assume with 10 lakh, and so suppose I started the business at 1st Jan, let's assume 2020. So my capital is 10 lakh, and then after 6 months, I have invested another 5 lakhs. Correct? After 5-6 months, I've invested 5 lakhs. So according to you, 10 lakh is a capital, not the 5 lakh.
Every amount which is invested or which is put into the business to grow up the business or the start a business is in the is called the capital. Every
This is
time,
not,
time to
but
time,
this is
we
not
invest some amount.
correct. But
Time to
this is
time,
not correct. But this is not what you said. Correct. What you said is amount invested to start the business, which means by this 10 lakh becomes a capital, and this 5 lakh does not qualify for to be a capital.
if I go
Which
as
means
a wording, that's true.
yeah, this is correct. Now, so which means this needs to be adjusted because this doesn't capture it the correct version of capital. So which means the capital is not only the amount invested at the start. It could be at the start or could be after the start of the business, which means any point of time during the life from the inception, if that amount is being invested, that becomes capital. Is that the right way to put this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at the next one. So it's owned funds invested into the business. Now, who is this?
Sir, Kritika.
Yeah. So which means, Kritika, so suppose if I started the business with 10 lakh rupees, ये मेरे own funds हैं, ठीक है, और मैंने 5 lakh borrow किया है और
Owned
borrow
and
करके
borrowed both, sir.
तो जो आपने बोला वो सही नहीं है ना,
जी.
ठीक है. So which means we are looking at the amount invested into the business. We're looking at the amount invested into the business. Okay. Now, this could be either at start or any time, and either could be equity or could be debt or could be other sources as well. Because as of now, मैंने यही दो की बात कर रहा हूँ.
Yes, sir.
Are we clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Third, money needed. ये किसका है भाई third?
सर सरगम
Okay, money needed to produce goods and services be it related to business and personal. ये मुझे तब भी समझ नहीं आया था, but I thought okay, I will discuss it later. So money needed to produce goods and services. So suppose, guys, I'm trying to understand this, and that's why I said कि मैं deliberately आपको इस तरीके से कर रहा हूँ. So for example, मुझे एक प्रोडक्ट प्रोड्यूस करना है, उसके लिए मुझे 50 लाख की जरूरत है. I need 50 lakh, but because of the limited resources, I have only invested 30 lakhs. What is my capital? 50 lakhs or 30 lakhs? Sargam,
हाँ सर
I need 50 lakhs. I need 50 lakhs. सुनो ध्यान से मेरी बात. I need 50 lakhs to launch a product, but because of the limited resources, I am only able to invest 30 lakhs. What is my capital?
सर 30 lakhs.
And आपने बोला amount money needed. मुझे जरूरत तो 50 लाख की है.
सर अभी जैसे इसके जस्ट प्रीवियस वाले में इक्विटी प्लस डेट इफ मनी कंस्ट्रेंट देन आई विल बोरो सो
हाँ, तो बोरो करके मैंने ये नहीं बोला सरगम कि ये 30 लाख was only equity fund. So this 20 lakh is an equity, and I am only able to borrow 10 lakhs. So this 30 lakh includes both borrow and my own funds. But maximum and what I am able to raise from the market plus from my own pocket is 30 lakh. However, I needed 50 lakh, but I'm only able to invest as of now 30 lakhs. What is my capital?
Yeah, 30 lakhs sir.
तो समझ आ गया क्या गलत है?
Yes sir.
Okay, it's not about money what is needed. is the money which is invested. You might need more or less. It could be vice versa
Yeah.
also. I need 50
Yes, sir.
lakhs, but I have 60 lakhs. मैंने 60 lakhs पूरे के पूरे invest कर दिए. So I've invested more than what I needed. Still, my capital will come 60 lakh.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what do you mean with this last line? ये मैंने पहले ही पूछी थी. ये मुझे समझ नहीं आया. Be related to personal and business. This I don't understand. What does this mean?
Sir, business, अगर कोई if anybody is running business, then I said it is related to business. But if someone is not running any business and generating only the other income, be it related to salary or some other income, then he is creating his capital.
नहीं समझ आया मुझे.
सर अभी और कैसे सोचूं?
Right? It's your thought, correct? You should be able to
Yes, sir.
explain this to me.
Sir, say if an entity is running any business, then as per the interaction, like if it is investing any money, then that money is capital for that business.
So let's take example ABC Limited. ABC Limited has invested 10 lakh into the business. So according to
Yes.
you, this is capital, correct?
Yes, sir.
Understood. Now, what do you mean by this personal?
Yeah. Say for example, Mr. X is earning income in form of salary or some other income.
For example, salary of this X is 10,000 rupees. Now, yeah. Out.
And if he is not investing it anywhere,
If he is
but
not
that's
investing, if he is not investing anywhere,
investing or making any expense from this 10,000,
or not spend, okay.
yeah.
Then
So that 10,000 is a capital for him. That is personal capital.
okay. So then 10,000 becomes capital. Okay. So which means I thought this 10,000 will become savings. That's my understanding so far. But you're telling me कि वो saving नहीं होगा, वो capital हो जाएगा. Because अगर मेरी salary 10,000 rupees and if I don't spend 10,000 rupees, so वो मेरी saving हो जाता है. Because मैं spend भी नहीं कर रहा हूँ, invest भी नहीं कर रहा हूँ, which means मेरे को 10,000 का check मिला, मेरे bank account में आया, and it remains in my bank account. So I always thought it's a saving, but you're saying it's not saving, it becomes capital.
But your saving will be intact. That intact saving is another form of capital.
So savings is called as capital. Is saving is synonym for capital? So can I put this savings is equal to capital? Is that what you want to bring in?
Yes, sir.
So saving is equal to capital. Is that the way we should look at it?
To my understanding, yes.
Haji, anybody else who wants to put any thought to this? Savings is equal to capital. देखो सरगम, अगर मेरी सैलरी 10,000 की है, ठीक है, और इसमें से मैंने 6K इन्वेस्ट कर दिया, तो मेरी सेविंग 4K है.
हाँ जी.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
बट फिर भी मेरा कैपिटल ये दोनों होगा. My investment also become my capital.
Yes, sir.
Hence, I said this is not fundamentally right statement to make.
But sir, आपने अभी invest बताया, investment 6,000 का बताया. When I was explaining, I said he is not investing anywhere. If he is not.
हाँ, तो मेरे वाले एग्जांपल में सेविंग कितनी है? 4,000 और 10,000.
आपके एग्जांपल में 4,000.
तो उस एग्जांपल में सेविंग 4,000 की है, तो उस एग्जांपल में आपके लॉजिक के हिसाब से कैपिटल भी तो 4,000 हो जाएगा ना, बिकॉज यू सेड सेविंग्स इक्वल टू कैपिटल.
Yes, sir.
But actually, in my example, the investment is also nothing but a part of the capital.
Okay. Yes, sir.
हाँ या ना?
हाँ sir.
ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
So there's no need to bring in these business or personal. Okay, no
Yes,
need
sir.
to bring this needed word.
Yeah.
Okay. नेक्स्ट क्या था? मनी, हाँ, मनी एसेट ओन्ड बाय द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ये कौन है? हाँ यशवंत। सो आई थिंक ये तो आपको समझ आ गया, हमने डिस्कस कर लिया. सो ओन्ड मीन्स, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई एम स्टार्टिंग अ बिजनेस and I'm starting a business, so suppose with 10 lakh rupees, which is my own funds, and I'm borrowing 5 lakh. This 5 lakh is not my owned funds. So according to you, only 10 lakh should be the capital, but actually the capital is 15 lakh.
But if I borrow the money also will be under my name only, no, sir. I am liable to pay with
But
whom I
that doesn't
borrowed
become,
that.
but that, correct, it becomes, it does not become your own money, it doesn't becomes your ownership, it doesn't become your asset, it becomes a liability, correct?
Like if I am running in some factory, I borrowed money from bank and I borrowed and I purchased an asset like a machine something, and that machine will be under my name, but it will be in the bank. That documents will be in the bank, but I am liable to pay the bank. But the asset is owned by the company only, no?
Yeah. So it's, you're looking at, so no. So let me give an example to this. So suppose you have 50 lakh rupees, okay, and let's assume you have borrowed 10 lakh rupees. What you're telling me that आपने ये इससे 60 lakh की एक मशीनरी खरीद ली, correct? And this machine will be in the company's name, and this becomes an asset.
Yes.
ठीक है. So ये example में आप right हो. Now let me give another example to this. आपने 60 लाख की फंडिंग की और आपने इसमें से 40 lakhs का ही मशीनरी खरीदा, 20 lakhs अभी पड़ा हुआ है और यूटिलाइज. इस केस में जो एसेट क्रिएट हुआ मशीनरी वो तो 40 लाख का ही हुआ आपके ओनरशिप के नाम पे, बट कंपनी का कैपिटल कितने है इस वक्त?
50 lakh.
So that's what I'm saying. That the other scenario is also possible where you have raised the funds, but you're into the process of buying the asset. As of now, you're only purchased an asset which is less than the money that you have raised. Hence, in the interim, this definition of this concept will fall flat.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. So my concept of the capital, as we discussed earlier, should not be on the asset side, should be on this side. What is the amount invested into the business? Whether it is being used to purchase the asset yet or not, that's not the criteria to decide whether it's a capital or not. जैसे ही मैंने funding डाल दी business में, that becomes my capital. Whether the funding is from my own pocket or from borrowed pocket, that does not make any difference. Whether the funding is at the start of the business or during the life of the business, that also does not make any difference.
Okay. Understand.
Okay. उसके बाद एडिंग वैल्यू, हाँ ये किसका है एडिंग वैल्यू कैपिटल?
सर माइन.
हाँ तो आपका तो हो गया ना सर, आई थिंक डिस्कस. आपने 2 वर्ड दिए थे.
नहीं सर, आपने ऊपर नीचे लिख दिया था.
ओके ठीक है.
आपने
नेक्स्ट इज, ठीक है, नेक्स्ट इज वेल्थ दैट इज इन्वेस्टेड टू क्रिएट वैल्यू. हाँ भाई ये किसका है?
सर ऋषभ.
हाँ ऋषभ. So wealth that is invested to create value. So what do you mean by to create value?
Like in money terms, to make profit, and like if we are investing in a merger, then sir, the synergies of both the company will be combined, so value will be created.
So if I'm investing into the company which will give me loss, then it will not be called as capital.
No sir, but we have invested sir, but wealth couldn't be born out of it.
Sorry?
Sir, we couldn't create the wealth yet sir.
Correct. So for example, if I start a company and I invest 50 lakh rupees, but
Yes,
instead
sir.
of making profit, if I start incurring losses,
Yes sir.
then rather than creating a value, I'm losing value.
Yes sir.
Then whether my investment will called as capital or not?
Yes, sir. The money we have invested will be called capital, but sir, the profits will not be there.
Correct. So what does this mean? The capital is not linked to whether it will create value, whether it will create profit, whether it will create losses. The amount invested into the business becomes capital irrespective whether it generates profit or loss.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
It is irrespective. Yes, sir. It is irrespective.
ये जो create value है इसकी जरूरत नहीं है.
Okay, sir.
Next, something company needs to provide goods and services. ये भी I think किसका है? You discussed this, correct? The need word is very similar to जो किसी ने यहाँ पे बोला था. Money needed. So the need is not what decides the capital. I might need 10 crores, but if I only have 5 lakhs to invest, my capital becomes 5 lakh, not what is dependent on my need. ये clear है किसका था? भाई जल्दी. ये किसका था? Something company needs to provide goods and services. ठीक है अगर आपको याद नहीं है तो मूविंग टू नेक्स्ट फाइनेंशियल एसेट दैट इज हेल्ड फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट. ये किसका है?
Mine, Deepak.
हाँ. So Deepak, when is a financial asset? So which means if I borrow, I know you then you mention equity and debt. So I'm just trying to understand. As long as you mean that financial asset includes the borrowed fund, then it's right. If you say financial is only referring to my own fund, then this becomes incomplete.
No, it includes all with including debt and equity. You have the money and whatever you are borrowing in form of debt or equity. That
And when you say held for investment, what does this mean? Why? Which means, so suppose if I have a company, so suppose ABC Limited, and I have invested 10 lakh rupees, but I'm holding on 40 lakh rupees, but out of which I'm only investing 10 lakh as of now. So my capital becomes 40 lakhs or 10 lakh.
can you please repeat?
So let's assume I'm the owner of the company A, and the name of the company is ABC Limited.
Yes.
So I'm holding 40 lakhs for investment into the company. But out of 40 lakhs, as of now, I have only invested 10 lakhs into the company.
40.
I am holding 40 lakhs.
No, that's okay. You are holding 40 lakhs. 10 lakhs you have invested.
Yeah. So what would be my capital for ABC Limited?
40 lakhs.
My capital would be 40 lakhs.
Your 40 lakhs is you have capped as in for the investment, or
Let me put this on a screen. Just a second. So A, who is the owner, and the name of the company is ABC Limited. Okay. So owner is holding 40 lakhs, and this is for investment. As of now, let's assume 2nd of August 20. A has invested 10 lakh in ABC Limited. So my question is, what is the capital as of 2nd August 20 for ABC Limited?
10 lakhs. 10 lakhs.
समझ आ गया क्या गड़बड़ है?
No, that's okay.
Okay. So
I want to say that held in the form of that he has already put that value in for the investment. Exactly.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. You wanted, or probably the right word would have been the invested into the business rather than using the word held, because the held would give a different connotation and make this a little incomplete or probably partially incorrect.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Then next is consist of an asset that can enhance of it can enhance one's power to perform economic work. So again, couple of things जिसने भी ये बोला था. So when you say consist of asset, I'm assuming again it consists of both.
Yes, sir.
That's first piece. And this is important. That can enhance one's power. Okay, to perform economic work, which means if I'm starting an NGO where I will be performing work, and I can that will not be my capital.
No,
The
sir, it would
capital
be
word
capital.
only, the capital word is irrespective of you're using for an economic work or a non-economic work, right?
Sir,
For
it
me,
would be capital. If you are investing in NGO, it would be capital.
but the NGO is not generating an economic work, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, guys, I think the intent. So just to close before I go to the bigger discussion. So to keep it very simple, particularly from an interview perspective, what do you mean by capital? Capital is simply the amount invested into the business. Couple of things that you need to when I say amount invested into the business, a couple of things which is implied into this is the amount. So let me put this amount invested into the business. Now this could be at start or later. That's the first piece. Second, when you say in amount, it could come from equity, could come from debt, or any source. Right? So the source is not important. As long as I'm able to get the funds from that source, be it an equity, be it a debt. Of course, we'll discuss equity and debt separately. So any amount invested into the business, okay. Now whether that business generates an economic activity or non-economic activity again doesn't make a difference. Whether business generates a profit or loss again does not make a difference. Whether it's a start or during the life of the business doesn't make a difference. Whether it's come from an owner or come from a borrowed fund doesn't make a difference. Guys, you understood this? What do you mean by capital?
Yes, sir.
Sir, it would be, sir,
Yeah.
total capital. Like if we invest in front or afterwards, it would be the total capital investment in business.
Yeah. So now, guys, what is important for you to understand, and I deliberately want to do this at the beginning of this journey so that you get a sense in terms of the way we look at it, is just try and understand if this question would have come to you in an interview. And I don't have any iota of doubt in my mind in terms of that the people who gave these versions don't understand the concept of capital. I'm convinced that each of you know what is capital because this is a very basic concept. Just a minute. Sorry. So now, what I was telling you, yet in terms of the concept, I think it's pretty clear and simple that everybody knows this. But if this question comes to you in an interview, either because of your choice of words or either because you're not articulating in a way that it becomes a comprehensive answer, it is possible that the interviewer might be able to prove you wrong. The way we discuss these, correct? Some of the examples that in span of 1 minute or 2 minute conversation, you agreed that the response that you gave was not the right response, correct? So what will happen in an interview if an interviewer is able to, and we're trained on this. So when we go and include people, we're trained around these pieces. So if interviewer is able to do this for let's assume for 3-4 questions, and those are very basic concepts like this, then what happens? Then you start losing the impact. Then you lose an opportunity to make an impact. Guys, are you able to understand what I'm trying to explain to you?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is
Yes, sir.
So this is the reason why it's important when you want to clear these interviews. There are two different concepts that you need to understand, two different skill set. One is the knowledge in the terms of whether I know the concept, and second, your ability to articulate the answer. These are two different things to win this battle. One is whether I know the concept. So of course, capital, everybody knows what is capital, but the second piece becomes more important. And if I know the concept, am I able to articulate it correctly so that it turns out to be a right answer rather than it turning out to be the wrong or a partially correct answer? And this is just an example. So of course, I will not go through each of the concepts again and again the way we discuss this in terms of, but I'm just trying to give an idea at the beginning of this. Of course, during this journey, I will talk about more in terms of how do you need to build this capability and skill set. But it's important that if in an interview you do not give correct answers, even if you know the concept. For example, I think Sargam or somebody was struggling. So she said, how do I explain it to you? That's where the problem starts. That even if you know the concept, you start struggling to explain to somebody, and that's where the problem starts in an interview. So the interview will not be able to get into your mind or into your head to check whether you know or not. The only way that he or she would be able to assess basis what you speak, correct? So guys, please, I know it's a little early into the journey, but the reason why I've highlighted this at the beginning of the journey is to make you unaware that if you want to win this battle of clearing those 6, 7, 8 rounds of an interview into our kind of domains, or some of the top MNC investment banks, or the valuation oriented jobs, you need to understand that you need two skill set for winning that battle. To win that battle, one is you know the concept. Second is your ability and to articulate that answer in the right format. Any question anybody wants to add to this? Anybody believes no, this is not logical? Anything? It's important that you understand, get this thought process. I'm more than happy to listen if you have different thought to this piece, or you want to add to this piece. Has anybody struggled any time in the past, any of the interviews where you know the concept, but still you mess this up?
Yes, sir. Sometimes it happens. We know the concept, but at the time of interview, we do not know how to. Make that into a proper sentence. It happens in.
And Kritika and others, this is not about English. Believe me, this is not about English.
Yes,
It's not
sir.
about the language. It's not about your vocab. It's not about the communication skills. So please be very clear. I'm not talking about those stuffs here. Those are
Yes, sir. Yes,
completely
sir.
different pieces. So even if I ask somebody to, okay, आप मुझे हिंदी में समझा दो, even still you struggle to put that thought right across, and even that person means the interviewer is able to convince back to you that what you said is wrong, and you start losing the battle. Half of the battle is lost. And believe me, if when I take these interviews into recruitment process, if probably 2 or 3 times, if I'm able to convince back the interviewee that what he or she said was wrong, then generally I do not waste time further and I ask the candidate to move out of the room. Because 2-3 बार अगर आपको मैंने गलत प्रूव कर दिया है, and गलत proof in the sense what you said, you are convinced in 30 seconds that what you said was wrong, and anyways it's over and out. Especially for the
Yes, sir.
concepts like which is vanilla concept, or pretty basic concepts. At this level, we're looking at these term which is capital, which starts in what, 11th, 12th, probably for commerce grad, then 11th, 12th में start हो जाता है. So just keep this in mind. This is important, and I know
Sometimes we forget the basics, sir, and we jump to, I mean, preparing for an interview, we jump to major concepts and forget basics. That's also happens.
हाँ ठीक है, वो तो I think is possible, because आप कुछ भूल जाओ, that's pretty much possible, but
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about little different point here. I'm not talking about
Yes.
for example capital. All those who gave responses, वो भूले नहीं थे, उनको याद था. It's just
हाँ.
probably the perspective of giving an answer is what needs to be strengthened. That's the point that I want to highlight.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Any comments, and then you agree, disagree, anything you want to add to this, guys? It's important that we get on the same wavelength, because I've expressed my wavelength here in terms of my thought process. Sorry, on this side. No, nothing. Okay. Now, if you understood what is capital now, so this capital primarily comes from two categories. You have equity and you have debt. So equity is your owner's fund, and that is borrowed fund. Sorry, one more thing. Sorry, just probably 30-40 seconds back on this concept. So जो मैंने आपको बताया इंटरव्यू में, this also helps us when we recruit people and we make offers to the talent. Is this helps us to assess how fundamentally strong your roots are. Your knowledge is a surface knowledge, or your fundamentally knowledge is strong into the deep roots, into your personality or into your domain. Because if somebody who's fundamentally very strong at the roots would generally not create these kind of errors while giving an answers, somebody who has a surface knowledge generally would struggle and come out with these answers. I'm not saying 100% this will happen, but more likely the high probabilities is that if somebody is giving these surface answers again and again for 3, 4, 5 set of questions, then generally it could result in an impression to an interviewer that it's more of a surface knowledge rather than a deep fundamental knowledge. Coming back to equity and debt. So equity is an owner's funds, debt is borrowed funds. Okay. Preference भी होता है. We'll talk about preference later, and there are a couple of hybrid other instruments as well. So as of now, I'm starting off with the basic concepts. We'll keep those for a later point of time. But equity and debt, it's owner's funds, so borrowed funds. So equity does not have any fixed maturity. Borrowed funds, of course, will have a fixed maturity. Here you do not have any obligation. Obligation of two types: to repay the principal, and second, to pay the returns, which is nothing but dividend in this example. Whereas in this, you have fixed obligation to repay the principal and to pay the returns, which is called as interest. Has any doubt in this? Hello? Any doubt on this, guys?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. And the reason, because equity does not have any fixed maturity, they are generally referred as permanent source of funds. Okay. Now, the important question is, suppose you have to invest into company. Now you have two choices. You can invest in form of, okay, so before I go to that, now, so you discussed that there is no fixed obligation to repay the principal, to repay the returns. So what does this mean? In case of profits, there is no obligation for company to pay dividend, and equity holders are paid at the last. Last means after payment to debt holder. Now, so in case of profit, there is whether you have whether profits or loss, there is obligation for the company to pay interest and principal, which is nothing but EMI. And here, debt holders are paid before the payment to equity holders. हाँ जी, देख लीजिए, कोई डाउट यहाँ तक हो तो बताइए. Any doubt on any of these points?
The dividends can be the part of the profit.
No. Dividends will be paid out of the profit, may not mean the part of the profit.
Okay.
Which means even the company might have losses, still they might pay dividends. Any other doubt in this 8 points or concept that I've the difference between equity and debt that I've mentioned this key? One more important thing when I'm explaining any concept to you, please, Nimish, can you go on mute, please? There are two things that you need to understand and you need to ask yourself. Have I understood the concept? That's the first question that you should ask yourself. And second is, are you logically convinced? So these are two different things. So when I'm explaining something to you, one is, have you understood that? Understood means, okay, मुझे ये समझ आ गया, but मुझे logically ठीक नहीं लग रहा है. That's the second piece. So before you say yes to me when I'm asking you, are you clear with this, or where you give me a green signal or you allow me to move to the next topic, these are the two checks that you should do for yourself. That have I understood the concept first? If the answer comes out to be yes, then go to the second question, which is, okay, समझ तो आ गया, but am I logically convinced? If yes, then only allow me to move to the next topic, and otherwise let me know that I've understood the concept but it's not making sense, it's not logically convinced, or I've not even understood the concept. The reason why it's important, because both of these pieces would be required to again to handle those interviews, guys. I don't know, people, those people who have given interviews in their life so far. In interview, what are we trying to do? We're trying to convince the interviewer that we know the concept. We're trying to convince, because you say something that doesn't help. You need to say, at the same time you need to convince with your thoughts, with your expression, that yes, you know the concept. Guys, do you understand the difference between when you speak and when you convince? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Guys, would appreciate अगर आप response करोगे, otherwise I think I can make it very simple and say, okay, I don't do these extra stuffs. The topics लिखे हुए, I can cover those topics and move on. But if you want these extra skill set to come your way, you need to interact. Like I can't keep on assuming कि चीजें आपको समझ आ रही है. Just either you just respond in form of yes or no. So that
Yes, sir,
is
got it.
Yes, sir.
So which means अगर आपको convince करना है किसी को, so you can only convince somebody else if you are convinced. So for example, if I'm explaining the concept and you yourself is not convinced, you will not be able to fight the battle of convincing to somebody else in an interview. That's the reason why I'm saying that when you say yes to me, or when you allow me to move to the next topic, it should be a two-step check at your end. One, have you understood the concept? Second, am I logically convinced? Only if these two come out to be yes, you should allow me to the next topic. And one more thing, I think, which I would probably set as a rule, that if you don't respond, I would assume it to be yes. Yes means all things are clear, and I'm being given a green signal to move. Okay.
Right.
So any questions on these 8 points?
Please tell about the dividend.
Which point?
So dividend point, fifth point, to pay the returns dividend.
So for equity shareholders, the payment of dividend is not mandatory. So which means if the company makes a profit, it's not an obligation on them to pay the dividends.
Whether it's the profit or the losses.
Yeah, whether it's a profit or the losses. The company might held back the profits for the future expansion.
Okay.
Sir, hi, sir.
Yeah,
Hello.
yes.
Sir, if the company earns the profit and it is not liable to pay the shareholders the share of it, it is correct according to the law. Like the company can hold the profit for future.
Yeah, it's allowed as per the law. Anything else?
No, sir, go ahead.
Now, if you're given a choice to invest, so suppose the same company ABC Limited, but you've been given a choice, and then suppose let's assume amount is also same, so it's a 1 lakh rupees, or let's assume 10 lakh rupees. You have 10 lakh rupees saving and you want to invest, and you have decided to invest into ABC Limited, and you have two options. One, you can invest as an equity in ABC Limited, or option two, you can invest as a debt in ABC Limited. Now, which is more risky for you as an investor? Is an investment in equities more risky, or investment in debt is more risky? From your perspective, from an investor perspective, which is more risky?
Investment in equity is
Equity
more
is more
risky.
risky.
In equity, sir.
Equity.
So are we is everybody convinced that risk is more in equity and risk is less in debt?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If the risk is more in the equity, would you expect more return or would you expect less return?
More, sir.
More return.
More return. More return.
More return.
Let's park that concept for a minute or so. Now let's think of an example of your employer, the relationship between you and your employer. You get a salary when you work. That salary is a return for you, correct? Guys, is this a return for you?
Yes, sir.
So
Return
working for a month, and that's at the end of the month you get in return what salary?
Yes.
Yes.
And can I say if this is a return for you, that is cost for the company? क्योंकि company अगर आपको pay कर रही है तो उनके लिए तो cost ही है ना?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It is
Yes,
cost.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's come back. यहाँ पे आ जाओ. If you expect more return in equity, so your return is nothing but cost to company. Same logic, salary.
Right. Right,
Yes.
sir.
Hence, can I say the cost of equity is more than cost of debt? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Anybody who's not understood this concept, and then I've deliberately created this thread by thread concept, or a layers of each subtopic, so that you get. See, it's very easy for me, guys. मैं आपको slides दिखा दूँ, or I can start running those slides. हाँ, ये है, and I start reading those slides. But believe me, that's not going to help you too much. I need to understand logically. So, by telling you the cost of equity is more than the cost of debt, that's the easiest of the way to for me to deliver these things. I can wrap this up in 30 seconds or probably less than that. But if somebody starts challenging you, why, क्यों, कैसे आया ये concept, this is where it helps you to convince. And I'm not deliberately using those very difficult words or difficult terminologies or difficult formulas that you cannot retain this for future. I'm just trying to give you step by step kind of a story which you can absorb and retain it for a longer period of time. So, anybody who's any doubt, not convinced on the portion that I've highlighted in yellow?
Excuse me.
Yes, Srikanth.
Sir, what would be the difference between return and cost?
So if you go to a bank and open an FD and the bank says, okay, we'll give you 8% return. So for you, it is return, correct?
Yeah, that is return.
For bank, it will be
Cost.
that's the difference, correct?
Can we replace this cost with the cost of procuring equity?
Sorry.
Can we replace the cost with cost of procuring equity, or it will be just a part of cost?
So what do you mean by cost of procuring equity?
Cost of raising equity.
What do you mean by basic equity?
Raising equity, that is issuing equity.
Sorry, Shikant. So I'm not really clear. When you're saying basic equity means the.
I am saying cost of raising fresh equity.
So when I'm saying
Like,
cost here, when I'm saying cost comprises of everything. It
that
comprises
means it will
of
be a part of cost.
sorry.
The issue cost would be the part of cost.
Yeah, the cost is the total cost. It includes everything, be it an issuance cost, be it a cost after issuance, which is a payment of return to the source or to the owner of that capital.
Okay.
Anybody else any other doubt in this?
Sir?
So can you tell the cost of the equity is more than the cost of the debt? So
Yeah.
can you explain this point again?
So the cost of equity is more than the cost of debt because of these previous 3 points. So ये logic यहाँ से link है. Because equity ज़्यादा risky है, equity is more risky. If you invest in equity, you will expect more return, and your return is nothing but the cost to the company. Hence, if you expect more return, the company will have a higher cost.
Okay.
Sir, equity is a permanent source of funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sir, there is no obligation. So, sir, why there is more risk involved in we invest in a company?
Why there is more risk?
Yes, sir. Sir, there is a permanent source of funds, and there is also no obligation.
वो रिस्क ये रिस्क किसके
Yes,
लिए कंपनी के लिए कि इन्वेस्टर के लिए
sir, investor के लिए.
So if you give money to somebody else and that person says I am not promising when I will pay and whether I will pay or not and I will pay interest return or not, if the person says there's no promise, then you are taking more risk, you are taking less risk.
No, sir, we are taking more risk. Okay, sir.
That's your answer, correct?
Okay, sir. Okay.
हाँ जी और come on guys और yeah Deepak, go ahead.
No, no. I'm just saying that we can proceed. I think
Okay.
further on that.
Okay. So if this is okay, then let's complicate this. Now, so let me remove this. This is not required. Now, so if the cost of equity is more and the cost of debt is less, so when company capital comprises of both debt and equity, this you discussed. So, company, so the cost of debt and cost of equity put together will give me cost of capital. So if company wants to minimize the cost of capital, they should raise higher amount from debt or equity.
From debt.
ये डेट क्वेश्चन को देखिए and think through this. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Don't respond immediately. Look at, try and understand the question, and just try and rethink, and then come to a conclusion. Anji, what's the assessment? Still the same?
Sir, equity.
Sir, equity. They have.
Equity.
Sorry? Yes, one by one. Yeah, Shrikant, go ahead.
It should be partly debt and partly equity.
Why?
Because the owner would be anticipating some return, and the debt would give a sort of leverage to the equity.
I didn't understand, Shrikant.
I said debt would give some leverage to the equity and would increase the return for the equity shareholders.
What do you mean by leverage?
Leverage, the action of lever is known as leverage. They would, the cost of the debt would be less than the cost of equity. So the return generated on debt would be an add-on to the return generated on equity.
But with that logic, I should raise everything from debt. If I need 10 lakh rupees, and the cost of debt is less than the cost of equity, and you're bringing the concept of leverage, then by that logic, I should raise everything from debt.
But the debt has a fixed cost to it.
True. But my
It has
question
a
is
fixed
different.
cost to it, but equity does not have a fixed cost.
We can't read the question very carefully. I'm not talking about the tenure of the capital. I'm talking about the cost of the capital. So basis the cost of the
but
capital.
debt has a fixed cost to it.
Correct. So if I want to minimize the cost of capital, should I raise more debt or should I raise more equity?
A more debt would be preferable.
Correct. This is the answer, correct? Not what you said earlier, correct? So what you said earlier, I'm not saying वो wrong है, वो right है, but वो इस question का answer नहीं है. वो अभी question आएगा, then you can answer those questions. Get why we in a capital we bring some portion of the equity. But I didn't ask you why you bring in equity. So what you're telling me, we bring in equity because we want to reduce the fixed cost. But that's not what I'm asking right now. Shrikant, I hope आपको समझ आया होगा.
Yes, sir.
And this is what I'm trying to explain again and again. In an interview, if I've asked this question and you are giving me an answer which is right, but it's not an answer to my question, it tells me what? It tells me two things. One, either you're not listening very carefully, or you're not fundamentally strong to understand the difference between this question and the different other question basis which you're mixing the answers. Guys, please understand, when we hire people, we look at all these pieces as well. Okay. Anybody else? So if company wants to minimize the cost of capital, they would raise higher debt or equity. So is anybody who believes, somebody said equity. कौन था equity में? Manmeet.
Sir,
Couple of, Manmeet, go ahead.
No, sir, I have not said equity.
ठीक है. Some of you I think responded equity. I just want to understand what's the logic behind that.
If the company has more debt, then the investor will be unwilling to invest in the company. So that will be a factor.
ऋषभ, ये मेरे क्वेश्चन का आंसर है?
No, sir.
मैंने क्या पूछा है?
Sir, equity according to me.
हाँ, so according to you, equity, why? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Sir, firstly, because there will be more return. So
There will
and
be more return. How?
yes, sir. Sir, because the risk is more and we are investing in a company, so it can be more return.
Arey, this is from whose perspective you're giving this answer? From company perspective, from investor perspective?
Company perspective.
But company के लिए, so sorry, come again. I didn't understand. So you're saying company, if the company will give more return, that's good for the company.
No, sir. No, sir.
Company is paying out more return. It's a cash outflow.
Yes, sir.
So it's a good for the company.
No, sir. That is not good for the company.
So what's good for the company?
Good if
good is debt.
Sorry?
Because it is sir, good is debt because it is borrowed capital, and we are not investing our own capital.
Okay, तो उससे क्या होगा?
सर उससे ये होगा कि रिस्क कम रहेगा कंपनी के हिसाब से, क्योंकि वो बोरोड पैसा जो है वो इन्वेस्ट कर रही है.
Can I?
Sir, are you there?
I think network issue.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I think there was a bad connection. My system got hanged. Uh, yeah. So if the company wants to reduce the cost or wants to minimize the cost, their first preference is always to go for debt. Are you with me? Is everybody with me till this point? So the answer for this first question would be debt. And listen this carefully. This is a little tricky. If the company wants to reduce the cost, anybody who has a different thought to this, do not agree, not convinced, let me know. Guys. Okay, so I take that this is closed. Now, second question. This is what I think Shrikant or somebody else was saying. The debt comes with fixed cost, fixed obligation. Now, which means if company takes more debt to reduce the cost, तो cost तो कम हो जाएगा, but the fixed obligation will go up. Yes or no?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Hence, third point. Hence, the company needs to balance this out. And this is called as capital structure, your optimal capital structure. पढ़ लीजिए पूरा नोट वोट जो करना है कर लीजिए and see any doubt in this. And this is the reason why 100% of debt is not recommended. You need to have a balance. वो बैलेंस कैसे करते हैं वो भी सिखाऊंगा आपको, बट यहाँ तक कुछ पूछना
What is fixed obligation?
What fixed obligation हमने ऊपर किया था. So let me highlight that. These are the fixed obligations.
Okay.
Clear है? Manmeet?
ठीक है sir.
Two obligations: to repay the principal and to repay the interest. यानी which means अगर लॉस भी होगा तो भी ये पे करना पड़ेगा. मनमीत?
ठीक है सर, ठीक है.
हाँ जी, कुछ डाउट, क्वेरी? Is this clear to everyone? Again, I'm just giving 30 seconds more to absorb this, note down anything, ask anything, any piece which is not convinced, anything that you believe you will not be able to explain to somebody else. It's very important to get this skill as well, to explain to somebody, because अगर आप explain नहीं कर पाते, even whether you know the concept, you will not get through to this line.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir, you mentioned 100% of debt is recommended. I think it's not recommended.
Sorry.
There will be the ratio of 50-50%.
No, I never said that. वो ratio कैसे निकालते हैं वो मैं exact सिखाऊंगा बाद में.
Okay, okay.
So what I'm trying to explain you so far is this. The first school of thought says you should go for debt. The other school of thought says if you go with the debt, you will land up in increasing this. And you need to match a balance between these two to have your better capitalism.
Mm. Yeah, so it will depend on the nature of business as well.
Yeah, of course. Of course. It will depend on the nature of the business, it will depend upon the certainty of the business, it will depend upon the risk of the business. We will talk about that. I'm deliberately not getting that assessment on today, on day one. But of course, we will do those assessments and I will take you through those calculations as well and assessment as well. How do we come to a ratio which is an optimal ratio for the company? I'm just guys conscious that I do not want what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to set a momentum. This is the day one. I do not want to bombard too much back to you so that somebody who is a beginner into this journey. Journey means in terms of the concepts. Don't get too much in their lap. So hence I'm a little conscious and making small baby steps, and over a period of time we'll increase the momentum as we go. Sorry,
One
Deepika,
more
you
thing I
saying
want to
something?
ask. Hello.
Yeah, so grinder and player.
Guys, appreciate if you go back on mute once you speak and unmute yourself when you again want to speak. That would help because there's a lot of background noise I think coming from Divya's side. Yeah, Nimish, go ahead.
Uh, so one more thing, like in that we have the fixed cost. Fixed cost we have to pay like interest or anything. There is a obligations. So in some cases, cost to the company in debt maybe increases in comparison to equity because we have no obligations. Suppose we have earn more profit and a higher profit, but we have no obligations to pay more to the investors or the other stakeholders. So in that case, we can minimize the cost to companies there as well. So it is not necessary all time that cost of debt is always less than the equity.
So give me a scenario where you believe that cost of equity would be less than cost of debt.
So suppose like in a certain particular period, I have one profit of 1 lakh rupees, but I have to pay only to stakeholder or the investors 10,000 in a year. I have paid them. And on the another hand, if I have having a debt, I have taken a loan from the bank and I am paying the interest amount of 15,000. So in that case, cost to the company can be changed as well.
No, Nimish, that's not the way it should be looked at. So that is possible in 1 year. That is possible in 2 years. That's possible probably maybe in 3 years. But over a long run, if you're an investor into the company, so suppose if you are the investor and I'm the company.
Okay.
Scenario one, you invest in my company in debt, 1 lakh rupees, and I promise to pay you 8% return. 8% return.
Okay.
And I give you a second option that okay, now invest into my company in equity and I will give you only 4% return. Would you ever invest into equity into my company?
No.
So for me to convince you and to attract you to make an investment into my company in equity, what I need to do, I need to offer you more than 8%.
Higher. Yeah.
Wish you with me till this point? Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Wish you with me till this point?
Yes, I am getting that.
Now, so what will happen now? So suppose if I promise, okay, in equity I will give you 15%, if in debt I will give you 8%, and that's the agreement basis that you decide, okay, I will go for equity, and you've given me money, and I made a promise that I will give you 15%. And the first year, I made a profit. But if I come back to you, Nimesh, that in this year I propose not to give you any dividend. Let me deploy this profit back into the business and generate a more higher profit at the end of the second year. And suppose you don't need money, you say, okay, Nishant, go ahead, and I have reinvested back your money back to the business, and next year मैंने इसको और बड़ा कर दिया. I am able to show the results to you. And again,
Okay.
second year I come back to you, okay, this year the profits are much higher, but let me again not give you profit, let me reinvest.
Okay.
And when I start doing those things, you're not unhappy, you're happy, correct? Because your value of money is going up.
Yes. Value of certainly.
Yes or no?
Yes. Value of
Let's
money is
take
going up.
scenario two. Let's take scenario two. Scenario two, first year, the company is not able to generate profit and is a good position to pay you any dividends. Second year, company की हालत फिर से खराब, company कुछ नहीं कर पाती. Third year भी same. तो आप क्या करोगे? Because company is not able to meet your expected return in long run, in a period of 1 to 2 to 3 years, then what you will start thinking? Okay, yeah, ये तो गलत investment होगा. Let me exit.
Yes.
So now what you will do? You will start creating pressure on me कि मेरा पैसा वापस करो, आप मेरे को performance नहीं दे रहे.
हाँ.
To meet your expectation, I might not give you return of 15% in 1 year, in second year, but over a long run तो मुझे देना पड़ेगा ना, for you to be motivated and continue to your money invest into my business. Otherwise तो exit कर जाओगे.
Yeah. So yes. So as you told me, it is depending on the scenario. In shorter term, maybe cost of debt may be more, but if we go in the long run,
But
the
that's not
cost
cost,
of debt
Nimish.
will always
That's
be.
not cost. What you're looking at, कि मैंने 1 year में I have paid 10,000. That's called as cash outflow, but that's not a cost. I need to look at the
Okay.
cost. What you want from me. What I'm able to give it to you, that's not my cost. What you want from me is my cost.
Okay.
Okay. Let me give you another example. Let's say you want to buy a chocolate, and I have a confectionery shop. You come to my shop and say, Nishant, I want to buy this chocolate. मैंने कहा, the selling price of the chocolate is 10 rupees. You said, I want to buy this. But at that point of time, you only have 4 rupees. Now, for
Okay.
you, the cost of the chocolate would be 4 rupees or 10 rupees.
10 rupees.
So it is not what you have. It is what I expect from you, correct?
Okay. Yes.
You might give me 4 rupees and I have a relationship with you. Okay, I know you or I know your parents. Okay, you can pay me next month. You can give me 4 rupees and you can take the chocolate. But next time I would have an expectation कि आप मुझे वो repay करो, correct? Otherwise I will call you as a bad debt.
Yes.
That's the same
Yes.
logic works on the equity side. For 1 year, for 1-2 year, I can give you the time, because of course it takes time for a business to start showing profit. But अगर आप मुझे 1 साल, 2 साल, 3 साल कभी भी मेरा return मुझे वापस नहीं करोगे at what you promised me, then why should I stay with you?
Okay. Now I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Guys, anybody else? Anything on this?
We can proceed, I think.
Okay. Okay. So which means from a capital perspective, if I were to focus on the cost, I would go more on the debt side. But if I were to focus on the fixed obligation, I need to probably look at the equity and basis certain parameters, which we'll talk about later. The combination is being created to balance out these two parts, and that's where the capital structure or the optimum capital structure comes in. Now,
So like the debt is borrowed. So from where we can borrow the money? Like, can you give the example?
sorry, I didn't get your question.
Sir, like debt is borrowed money. It is non-own money. So
Correct.
from where we can borrow the money, sir? Can you give the example?
I can borrow money from the bank. I can borrow money from any lending institution. I can borrow money
Okay, from
from
any lending institution.
Yeah, I can borrow money from the government as well. I can borrow money from other company as well. I can borrow money from my friend as well. So there are people in the market who are willing to give loans, and we can borrow from any of these. So simplest example
Okay.
is today you want to buy a car, but suppose the price of the car is 15 lakh rupees and you only have let's say 5 lakh rupees. The remaining 10 lakh rupees you take a loan from the bank, correct? Car loan. And same goes with the
Okay.
property, the home loan.
Understood, sir.
Similarly, there are banks who are willing to give loans to the corporates. Yesterday we discussed, no, this was, no, sorry, that was not dispatch. So, no. So yesterday we discussed about private equity and those concepts. Of course, we'll discuss with you as well, but later. But I don't think it's the right time. So there are other source of funds, other hybrid source of funds also available in the market. But अभी के लिए traditional रखते हैं. So as of now, the banks and other lending institutions from where I can source this debt.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Any other question, doubts on this? Okay. Now, what do you mean by vegetable market? What do you mean by vegetable market? It's a market where veggies are bought and sold. Yes or no? Both sides, correct? Similarly, what is fish market where fishes are being bought and sold, and then so on, correct? Are you okay with this vegetable market? What is vegetable market? A market or a place where
Yes, sir.
veggies are bought and sold?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes,
Similarly,
sir.
now what is capital market? So capital market is again same concept, is a market where capital are bought and sold. Now let's use better words around this, because we don't buy and sell capital. We raise, raise or borrow, correct? That becomes capital market, correct?
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
these two pieces, which is raise and investment, is for equity, and this borrow and lend is for debt. Let me know without it. Yes, no, without.
No, no.
No.
And this part of the capital market is called as equity market, and this part of the capital market is called as debt market. Guys, any doubt in this?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, another important concept we need to understand that capital is not synonym or equivalent to money. The concept is the capital is is the money, is the funds which is invested for long period. The long period here is referred as 1 year or more than 1 year. And money is referred as funds less than 1 year. Any doubt on this, please? Any doubt in this? Okay, so which means we have another market called as money market. Now, what does money market means? The money market helps in raising short-term funds.
Yeah,
Raising or
short term.
investing? Short-term. So raising or investing. And short-term is again less than 1 year, up to 1 year. So दो तरह की market होती है. One is we're talking about the capital market. Sorry. One is we're referring to when we're referring to this capital market, and second we're referring to money market. Now, can equity be for less than 1 year? Guys, can equity be for less than 1 year?
No, sir.
Equity की कोई maturity नहीं होती, so equity cannot be less than 1 year. Can debt be less than 1 year? Yes, debt can be less than 1 year. यहाँ तक किसी को doubt? Debt की maturities होती है ना, could be 6 months, could be 9 months, could be 5 years, could be 20 years. So which means the debt which is less than 1 year. Any money market करूँगा. Let me delete these extra lines. Which means the debt which is less than 1 year, up to 1 year, gets traded into the money market. जो इक्विटी है, सारा का सारा इक्विटी irrespective of the tenure, tenure होता ही नहीं है, gets traded into capital market. और debt which is more than 1 year again gets traded into the capital market. समझ आया सबको? किसी को डाउट यहाँ तक लिखना है लिख लो. Money market is about debt which is up to 1 year. Debt which is more than 1 year goes to capital market. Equity irrespective of the tenure, because there is no concept of the tenure in the equity, goes into capital. Which brings us to conclude that if I need equity, where would I go? I will go to capital market. If I need debt, where should I go? Before we give it an answer, I need to find out I need a debt for what tenure. If I need a debt which is less than 1 year, go to the money market. But if I need a debt which is more than 1 year, then I need to go to the capital. Any doubt? Guys,
No.
any doubt?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
So,
Is
sir,
this
debt can be more than 1 year.
Yes, debt तो होती है ना. आप बैंक से 6 महीने का लोन ले सकते हो, आप बैंक से 6 years का लोन भी ले सकते हो. It's your requirement.
But it comes under capital market.
No, if it is less than 1 year, it will fall under
It is the money market. If it is more than 1 year, then it comes to capital market.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it must that capital should be in form of funds only?
So capital in form of funds. So the capital could be in form of kind also, but if that's what you're asking, so which means if I start the business and I don't give funds, but I give my property to as a premise to run the business, that's also will be termed as capital in the accounting concept. Is that what you're trying to ask?
Yes. Means is it right that to say that capital is a fund?
In the context of capital market, yes, it's right, because अगर मैं property दे रहा हूँ एक business को, so from an accounting perspective, it will be termed in the balance sheet as a capital, but I will not go to the capital market for raising that capital. I will go to the capital market to raise only funds, correct? Not to raise property. Here, what I have mentioned as fund, what I've mentioned capital as fund is a context of the capital market, not as general what you mean by capital. If you remember earlier, when I was explaining capital as a broad concept, I said amount invested into the business, not fund, which means it could be in cash, it could be in kind also. But here, because we are referring to capital market, that's why I've used the word funds.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Any questions, queries?
Hello.
Please.
Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Subhash, your voice is not very clear.
Sir, Subhash say yes.
No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, Subhash?
आप सुन पा रहे हैं मेरे से? Hello.
सुभाष आपका आवाज इतना क्लियर नहीं, I could barely hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand the capital market and all this. Can you repeat it again?
Subhash, I can't hear you. I've increased the mic volume of the speaker, but I don't think.
Already, I have increased the volume, but this is not a working proper way. I think so. Here is some technical problem.
Put it in the chat box. We will read out.
Problem is, if I speak, if I increase the speaker volume to 100%, when others will speak, it's just too high. I can't hear them. What seems to be there's a problem at your end. So probably for the next class, try and join to some better network.
Subhash, chat box में लिख दो आप. We can ask on your behalf.
हाँ, वो भी कर सकते हैं.
Till now, by the time, can you please elaborate on this money market? What we can define on this money market?
So money market is a market from where I can raise debt funds for a shorter tenure, and shorter tenure means up to 1 year. I can raise or I can invest. If I want to invest in form of debt for a shorter tenure, I will go to the debt market. If I want to raise again funds, but it has to be in a debt capacity, again for a shorter tenure, I can again go to the money market. The money market is a market which allows you to invest and to raise debt for shorter tenures. Deepak, is that clear?
Yeah, I mean, tenure we are saying that it should be less than 1 year.
Up to 1 year, yeah.
And we are including only the debt in that part.
Yes, because equity does not have the tenure, correct? If the company raises the equity shares, they do not have a tenure. So by virtue of that,
sorry, please.
No, so go ahead. So what I was saying that because equity does not have tenure, that's why the equity will not come into money market, and they will by default will go to the capital market. But debt will have tenure, so the debt instrument which have a tenure of more than 1 year will fall into capital market, and the debt which has a tenure of less than or up to 1 year will fall into the money market.
Okay. So now it's okay.
Okay. Anything else? If somebody can read the Subhash query, अगर उसने type किया, because I can't see chat very clearly.
He wants to say that clarity on capital versus money market.
Yeah, right.
Okay, same चीज जो मैंने अभी आपको समझाई दीपक. So I don't know whether Subhash, you still want me to repeat or मैंने अभी दीपक को जो समझाया?
Yes, sir. Repeat.
So capital market is a market from where you can raise funds for a longer tenure, which means more than 1 year.
Okay, it should be compulsory for 1 year. Is it called a capital market?
Yes. More than 1 year will be capital market, and less than 1 year would be money market.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I understand.
Okay. Okay. Now, just before we close, just wanted to get a sense in terms of the session today, are you comfortable with this tempo methodology of my delivery? Because if we need to make some adjustment in terms of pace, in terms of methodology, so then I can do it for the next class. Just wanted to get a quick feedback from you before we sign off for today, guys. In terms of today's session, are you comfortable with the delivery approach, pace, tempo, and the way I'm giving examples I'm trying to do? So is that methodology good enough?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's great.
Yes, sir.
Are we comfortable with this? Are we good to this with this? Of
Yes,
course,
sir.
as we go,
Sure.
I will increase the momentum both in terms of pace, but I will take this call and assessments as we go. Okay, so I'm concluding that this is good for us, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll continue the next class. Okay, and then you can revise these concepts. Sorry, thanks. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
So do we have to complete any assessment on LMS?
Not now, not as of now.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.